We greet you tonight in the name of all that is good, all that is holy, and all that is sacred, and in the warm and loving energy of this Ministry Spiritual Life Center. And if this is your very first time with us tonight, we especially want to welcome you because we know that you are not here by accident. Everyone here is here by divine appointment. And I'm really excited to see you all come out tonight to have a 3-angel meditation. I'd like to introduce Sherry Rain. She is the director of our chaplain program, and she's going to lead us in our opening prayer.
Good evening, everyone. Just take a breath and settle in. Opening our hearts in prayer. Divine presence, we are so grateful to be here this evening. Opening our hearts to your beloved Spirit. Opening our minds to new ways of thinking. Opening our lives to all that you have to offer. And as we embrace this time together and we embrace this beautiful season of spring, this blossoming and new beginning, the sun shining, warming our days, and bringing a sense of peace and vitality, we open also to the angels who will guide us this evening, and for all of the blessings they will bring. And so it is. Amen.
Amen. Just give them to Jeannie. The chaplains will have their healing circle next door right after the service, and you can just take the energy that we build with the angels and go right over there and expand it a little bit more. I want to thank Pat Harvey in particular, and then all of the people who have been providing us with soup for over the winter. It's been amazing, and I really appreciate those volunteers. And we are switching to salad next week. So a whole other, well, it's the same group, but they're just going to be in a different part of the store. The Spring Clean 2019 is this Saturday. It's from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m., so bring your gloves. If you have a small stepladder, bring that, or anything else non-toxic, the cleaning agents. That would all be really helpful. And you could call the office to let people know you're interested. They just like to have an idea of how many people are coming. They won't go on your permanent record or something. So next week, we have our drumming circle. We didn't have it last month because of Ash Wednesday. So Dominic Garcia will be here for his Afro-Caribbean drumming circle, and if some people do think that the drumming is a little too enthusiastic for them, so I have a discussion group over in the chapel, so you can still come and have a wonderful W.O.W Wednesday, no matter what. And a couple of weeks ago, I spoke on Sunday, and I did a thing about the selfie, and I've had people ask me for a handout, just a reminder. They're sitting on the chair back there, so if you want one of those, be sure to pick one up. So it just came to me, we should do an angel meditation. And I started to get all very formal about it, and which angel were we going to do, and looking them up. And that quickly went away. And I thought, we're just going to do a guardian angel, we're going to do a guiding angel, and then the angel of glee. And the angel of glee is actually the angel of joy, but it didn't start with a G, so, you know, it's all about marketing, right? So before we go into that, and rather than try to give you a lesson on angels and talk to you about angels, if you go out on the internet and you type in angels, the amount of information is overwhelming, and everybody's got their own version and their own idea, and all the different religions have different versions of angels. So what I want to do is I want to help build our own meditation here by asking you what your relationship with angels is, have you had experiences with angels? Jeannie will run the mic, and please use it so everyone can hear you. And I believe we are live streaming this as well, so people who are live streaming can also hear you. But who's had an actual, okay, do you believe in angels? That's one question. And then what kind of experiences have you had with angels? Raise your hand, and okay. And then,
the one that popped in my mind, I think I've had many more than this, but I was White River rafting, and it just happened that the guides on it were he was very young, and I think it was his first raft trip and he just had the boat loaded wrong and stuff. And anyway, we were dumping out for the third time in the river, and I was just getting kind of tired of climbing back in. And I mean, and then I looked downriver and I could see all these other rapids coming up, and I looked to the sides and the walls of the canyon were just kind of like this, and I just thought, oh my God. I said, angels, you've got to get me out of here. And you know, I really felt something pushing me over to the side, and I was able to pull myself out and wait. And then I had to wait for, 10, 15 minutes for a boat to come by that could, quote, rescue me. But it was definitely a feeling that I couldn't have done it by myself on my own.
Did you feel an actual presence?
Yeah,
with you?
I felt something pushing me.
Okay.
I mean, it was physical. I was
Right.
swimming, but they were pushing me.
Okay.
Yeah, so.
Beautiful story. Someone over here. Oh, yes.
I had an experience when my oldest son was a rebellious young teen, and I was chasing him down east, a really nasty part of East Denver, because he had run away, and I found him. And, all of that is a long story, but it was a dangerous part of town. And I was trying to reach him because I was a righteous mother. And I felt the presence of Archangel Michael. I felt the protection, and I felt like he had an army with him, and I felt so protected in that moment.
What other experiences have you had?
This goes back many, many years. I lived in Reading, and Fridays after work, I would drive to Stockton to see my sister. And this one particular Friday night, I was driving my truck down I-5, and I was really tired. And I must have fallen asleep, and the next thing I knew, somebody was shaking my arm and waking me up. And there was nobody in the truck.
Any other kinds of experiences?
Well, SLC was at the conference. There was an angel reader,
Yes.
and we had her do her thing, and I just remember that she told me that my angel was a male, and that they had a trainee.
Had
There
a
was
trainee.
a trainee with him. And Eric's angel was missing for a while, and then after a while she could see Eric's. But I don't remember really what else she said, but it was interesting.
So did any of you grow up in traditional religions where they talked about, the standard angels, Michael, and yes. And do you have any kind of experience with that? Did you?
Not that I care to say in public.
Just in case you didn't hear that, she says, not that I care to say in public. So what about, I don't know, when you're a little kid and you do the, did you have something, Bill?
You really want to hear it?
Speak into the mic.
Third grade, we were at Mass, bored stiff, and on the walls were painted angels, and I looked up and one of them just sort of, yeah, well, we put up with this every day. But that person over in the third pew has a problem. Just let's send something to them. And I said, I don't know what. Well, just smile for them. Thank you.
So I'll share a couple of experiences I've had just because, and I don't know that I've ever really associated the word angel with these experiences. It's just beings, that just something. There was a time 1996 or something like that. I was in San Francisco and I was with my Reiki master and we were getting ready to cross the street. And I looked up and I saw this van hurtling towards us. And I remember thinking that Charles was going to be okay. And I was like, okay. I mean, I really, that was what it is. Oh, he'll be okay. And this van came up and it stopped this far from me. And I remember standing there, and it really honestly felt like there was something between me and that vehicle. There was some substantial energy, and it just felt like there was something there in between. And that actually changed. I wrote in my diary that there was a crossroads, and I'm not sure exactly how my life changed after that, but it was so real that there was something there. And then there's the angels who work through people, right? And you probably would have more stories about that. I had, and I'm going to admit this in public, at one point I owned a Yugo. Thank you, Mary. Yes, somebody had to own one of those little almost cars. And the gas gauge gave out very early. I mean, when I traded it in, I think it had 40,000 miles in it. And they asked me when I drove in, they said, how many miles? And I said, is that in real miles or Yugo miles? Because that was equivalent of like 150,000 miles on that little car. But I was out on I-50 one day, and I was dressed up for work. I was a trainer, and I ran out of gas. And you know what? It's really scary out there on I-5 by yourself. And I started walking. And I remember just being just freaked out. I mean, I was calm, but I really was not comfortable. And I don't know how I saw this, but I remember this car, this little white pickup went by going the other direction. And then the next thing I knew, it was pulling up. And I got in the car, and I looked at him and I said, are you an axe murderer? And he said, no. Well, you may as well be practical. And he took me to get gas, and I got gas, and I'm not sure he existed. I don't know where he came from. But anything could have happened to me out there. And so I was wondering, has anybody had that sort of experience? Is that maybe angels working through Jan? Working through Jan. Working through other people.
I was driving, this was down in LA, and it was on one of the wider roads, and it was early Saturday morning. I was going to something I had to do, and I ran out of gas. And I pulled over and was kind of sitting there wondering, what do I do next? And this man came walking, he was walking, and he came up to my window and knocked on it and said, can I walk you somewhere? Can I help you? And I said, no, I'm fine. I'll be fine, thank you. So I got out of the car and I started walking down the hill where there was a gas station, and someone in a car came, stopped, pulled over, and asked if I wanted to ride to the gas station. I said yes, so he took me there, brought me back, and the man that had asked me if I wanted help slashed my 2 tires.
Wow.
Yeah,
So in some respects, you had a guiding angel there.
yeah,
Not,
I think yeah,
that told you to not
exactly,
go with them.
yeah.
Yeah. Any other experiences?
I'll share one on Michael's behalf. But yeah, he was driving somewhere, and there was a problem with the car, and the radiator was running out of water. And so he couldn't go very far, and he was like timing it. Like, he could go like 5 miles, and then he had to get water. But anyways, he was just past, like, almost home, but not quite there. And so he runs out of water, so he pulls over on the side of the road, and it's this little, like, kind of country road. And he's just sitting there like, okay, what am I going to do, And this guy on a bicycle rides by. He said it's this really, like, rough-looking guy, and he's hauling a trailer full of water bottles on a bicycle. That was a gift from God or the angels, yes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. Yes. Thank you for being so good about the microphone. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. I actually feel kind of obligated to share this because it saved my life. But and I also feel really emotional. So excuse me. But and it's weird because I gave speeches around the country on this topic. Well, not on this topic, but on suicide prevention. And this feels much more intimate than giving a speech where I could leave afterwards. But I've been sober now 25 years, and the last time I drank, I woke up in my car with a vacuum cleaner hose hooked up to the exhaust pipe and in the window of the car, and I can't tell you what woke me up, other than the presence. There was a real presence there. There was no reason I should have woke up from a dead drunk, and was able to stop that, and never had those feelings again in 25 years, and it was just miraculous. That's the only word I can.
But that feeling of the presence stayed with you, hasn't it?
The present, absolutely.
Yes, yeah.
That's what keeps me sober.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, so
Yeah.
it
And
doesn't.
alive.
Yeah, I mean, so it's not a transitory thing. We're not always aware of the presence that is close to us, but it's always there. It's just we're so busy, and then we're busy, and then we're busy. So, any other ideas or thoughts about angels? Bill, and then Jean.
Okay. We were on a troop ship going across the ocean in the middle of a storm, and I was up in the wheelhouse looking down, and there was some boy grabbing the rail, and he was sort of holding himself from jumping over, or maybe he's going to pull himself to jump over. And we just watched to see what was going to happen. And I was running stories through my head why he wanted to commit suicide. And he finally decided he would. And as he grabbed the rail to jump over, this great big blue thing with wings on it got right in front of him, and he couldn't jump.
Couldn't move.
So one of the officers went down and brought him in and got him a coffee and calmed him down. So
Yeah.
I don't know angels, but it was a big one.
I'm not sure that they really, we like to give them names because I think it makes us feel better, but I don't think they really need them. Just Jean. Yes, ma'am.
I think that the angels are with us all the time. I don't go crazy trying to learn their names or who's who or any of that, but in the Way of Mastery, Course in Miracles, legions of angels, masters, and friends that help us over the ditch, whose numbers are numberless, I call on them a lot because of a daughter that I have that's totally alcoholic and now living with me. But I also have driving angels. And I just call them driving angels. And I remember before I go somewhere, take me from here to there. And then I start blessing all the cars and all the trucks. I love trucks and truck drivers, and I just start blessing everybody. And it can make quite a difference in my travels. So I just highly recommend just calling on them frequently. And then also if I hear truth and I'm speaking truth with someone, I can feel the energy. So.
And it is really about the presence. It's about the energy, isn't it? Pam, yes.
Well, I have, it's more humorous, I guess, than some of the others that are really meaningful. But I have experienced numerous times, and I don't think it's the same entity, but it always seems to be right about here when I'm driving. I have a heavy foot when I drive. And I'll hear, you need to slow down. And I'll think, why, okay, I'll slow down. And then here comes the police officer, or there's an accident. And I think, well, thank you, whoever you are, thank you. But there was one time when I was driving down Freeport, and there was a bicyclist that was about 10 feet in there was a bicyclist about 10 feet from in front of me, and in my rear view mirror, I saw this car and traffic was stopped up, just going about 40 miles an hour, and I knew this was, I was going to be pushed into the bicyclist, and I just said, oh, dear God, and when I opened my eyes, they were gone. the bicycles was gone, the car was gone. I don't know what happened to that, but it was clear as day, that bicyclist and that car coming right towards me. That was going to something horrible was going to happen, and it didn't. And it was that same sense that they were right there on my shoulder.
Yeah, I mean, there's songs and poems and stuff about angel on my shoulder.
I do a lot of hands-on healing work with people, and I often feel, angels or some other good entity coming through my hands to help with whatever I'm doing. And I wish I could remember specifics, but it really belongs to the person I'm interacting with. And so, unless you catch me like within a day, I have really no recall.
Well, and
So,
really, it's
yeah.
their, we share our own stories, and that's their story.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's totally appropriate that you don't remember it.
But I do recall when some friends of mine were working on my body, I was very relaxed. I remember we were in Yosemite, which is one of my favorite nature spots. And, I thought, oh, yeah, that's nice. Somebody's working on my right arm and somebody else is by my leg. And, I opened my eyes and nobody's anywhere near my right arm. I mean, they were doing stuff, but neither one of them were doing anything to my right arm. And even with my eyes open, I could still feel it, and
Right.
it was like, okay,
Yeah.
thank you, whoever you are.
Yeah, so we feel them, we hear them, sometimes we see them. Anybody ever smell them? I mean, all of the senses can come into play. There's all of the Virgin Mary, of course, is always associated with the smell of roses. So yes, and
Another weird experience. This is a very odd experience where I was up at Harbin Hot Springs, and anybody that knows that place, the energy up there can be a little funky because it's also been known as a pickup place and all of that. And I was in the hot pool that, probably at least 20 people are around the end. And I started feeling this energy kind of coming up through my vagina and stuff. I opened my eyes and started looking around the pool and just going, who the heck is doing this?
messing with you.
This is not okay with me. And it was nobody in the pool. I thought, okay. And so I followed that energy, and it was kind of this alien creature that didn't mean anything bad by it. It just was attracted to the energy and knew it could help out with that kind of energy. And so I had to say, You in this world, you ask permission. And if you get permission, then it's all free game. But if you don't have permission, no. And so this entity was really kind of puzzled, and I thought, well, this is more than, and plus by this time I'm kind of going, And so I called in Archangel Michael because he seems to be able to take care of just about anything. And he was able to ask the entity if it wanted to go back to its own dimension or whatever, and it kind of explained things in more detail. And the entity decided to stay here, but it doesn't do that anymore. It asks permission, and it kind of understands. But I and that entity are buds, and I don't think about it very often, but once in a great while. And anyway, I just thought I'd throw it in because it's a very strange experience, and I just thought
And that's one thing we love here is strange.
I'm going out on a limb just because.
No, thank you for being brave. Yeah, and Jan.
I was driving on the freeway. This again was in LA. And there's traffic behind me, and I'm kind of out in front. And I look over to the right, and there's some kind of a utility truck that had one of those spools, but I was in a Volkswagen, and it was bigger than my Volkswagen. And it fell off the truck, and it started rolling across the freeway. Well, I started slowing down, and all the traffic behind me started, and we all came to a stop as it went across the freeway right in front of my car.
So when we do this meditation, we're not going to, I'm using these ideas of guardian angel, the idea of a guiding angel, the idea of a gleeful angel helping to bring us joy, and to just connect with that energy, to connect with that presence. And there's only one presence and power, but we experience it in different ways. And so it's just like all the Hindu gods, they're just aspects, right? And so we all connect differently. And so I just thought it would be kind of fun to go on a journey and just see what comes up. I have not written this meditation like I do on Sundays. We're going to let Spirit guide this one. Yeah. So in order to prepare for this, we're going to have a song, a recorded song. I'm not going to sing to you. It's not something you want. And then we'll just go into a guided meditation, and we'll go through and we'll experience these three aspects of angelhood, so to speak. And so just take a moment and get yourself comfortable. Close your eyes, and when you're ready, Cameron, let us begin.
When my mind becomes still, there's a place that I go. When my mind becomes still, there's a place that I go. There's love, yes, there's love. So much love flows through me when my mind becomes still. I feel thee. When my heart opens up, there's a place that I go. When my heart opens up, there's a place that I go. And there's love, yes, there's love. So much love flows through me when my heart opens up. I feel thee. When my mind becomes still, there's a place that I go. When my mind becomes still, there's a place that I go. And there's love, yes, there's love. So much love flows through me when my mind becomes still. I feel thee. When my heart opens
So, as you continue to turn your energies inward into that open heart that she was singing about, allow yourself to relax even more, taking a breath, letting it go, and allowing yourself to gently float up and into your daydream. You're in a garden. It's more like a formal park. There are marble statues. There are buildings around the perimeter of the park. It is beautiful. The trees are lush and green. There's flowers, birds, a fountain or two. And this seems like a place that you belong. You've been here before. And so you start to stroll along the walkway, looking at the different statues and the plants and just enjoying and absorbing the wonderful atmosphere. And you feel so safe. And then you realize that maybe this is a place where you can meet some of your angels. And so you find a little bench next to a fountain and sit down and just ask the question, who is my guardian angel? And as you sit there, you begin to feel a presence. And then you feel sort of compelled to get up and walk over towards the fountain. And standing there is a being that you identify as an angel. May not have wings. Wings are the light that they emanate. And so you and the angel stand looking at each other. You look into each other's eyes and you just say hi. In a way, it's nice to see you in person. And then you say thank you for being with me all this time, protecting me. And the angel reaches out and enfolds you in layers and layers of light, infusing you with an even deeper feeling of safety and well-being. And you hear it say, you are never alone. We are always here with you. We are part of you. And you can call on us at any time. And then you think about the times where you haven't paid attention, and you start to apologize. And the angel says, it's normal, you're human. But as long as you ask, we are here. We cannot interfere, but we can help when you ask. You are loved. And you are very, very special. We have been with you since you incarnated on the planet Earth, and we will be with you when you leave. And we are with you all the time in between. Sometimes we stand back, but if you ask, we come forward. And as you absorb this information, the idea of a guardian angel becomes much more real and substantial to you. It's not just a bedtime prayer. It's not just, oh, that must have been my guardian angel. It's real. And you stand in the presence and energy of this being, and you take a moment now to feel what this angel feels like to you. What does it feel like to be in that energy? What does it sound like? Can you hear it? What is it about this guardian angel that helps you recognize who it is and why it's with you? And you absorb that information, you absorb that feeling, and you store it, and you know that from now on you will be able to recognize when your guardian angel is with you. And so you look up at the angel and you say, thank you. I love you. And then you simply bless it and walk down the path. And you come to a crossroads or a fork in the path, and you don't quite know where you should go next. And as you stand there wondering, another being appears, gently coming down the path. And it says, come this way. I will guide you. And so, because you already feel so safe, you walk down the path with this angel. And this one looks different. And explains, I'm sometimes the voice you hear. Sometimes I'm other people giving you information. Sometimes I'm that feeling in your stomach. I guide you. I am with you when you have questions, when you are confused, when you feel lost. And again, you look at this angel and you start to apologize for not listening. And again, you are told, it's okay, you're human. It's very confusing down there sometimes. It's very confusing to be in the body, and you're not always sure what you're hearing. And so maybe our time together can help you learn to trust. And the angel reaches out to you, and you hold out your hands, and your hands are engulfed in light. And the light runs up your arms, into your shoulders, goes up into your head and down into your body. And you can simply feel this energy, this presence. And you know you've felt it before. You know that this is a feeling that you've had when something needs to be decided. Or when you're starting to do something and I should do something different. You feel it. It's part of you. And then the angel begins to whisper to you a private, personal message. And you recognize the voice. You've heard the voice before. And now you can place it. That when you are back on the earth plane, when you hear that voice, you will know it is your guiding angel. The angel who doesn't necessarily give you advice, but nudges, prods maybe a little bit. And in your own way, you wrap your arms around this angel that is really pure light, and you are engulfed in light and love, and you say, thank you. And the angel says, learn to forgive yourself when you don't listen, because it's okay. But I am also always here, and you are never alone. And remember too that sometimes what I tell you, you don't want to hear, and that's okay too. But you are a blessing, and you are light, and you are love. And so you say thank you in whatever way you do to this being. And you decide to start back. And then you hear this fountain, and it almost sounds like a laughing fountain. The water is so gay, and you walk over. It's so happy. And here is a little angel, much smaller than the others, bouncing up and down, playing in the water, throwing water all over the place, making a mess. And you walk over and look at the angel, and it looks up at you and goes, hi. This is your gleeful angel. This is the angel that brings joy in the oddest of moments. And it actually goes up into the air and flits around you, teasing you, laughing, sprinkling a little water on you. And it says, there's always some kind of joy. Somewhere, no matter what is going on, I can help you find the joy in that moment. Because joy is always here. Glee is always here. It is in you. You were built to be gleeful. And so as the angel flits around, you try to look at it and you try to make contact with it. And you say, please slow down for a moment. And so the angel comes near you, just right up and goes nose to nose with you. And you look into each other's eyes, and you feel the energy from this angel. And you hear the laughter, the giggling. This sounds like water, or it sounds like a breeze on a really nice summer day. You hear the joy that this angel brings to you. And you absorb that, and now you know you can recognize this angel as well. You can recognize the joy, even in the most dire of moments, that there is still some joy that can be found. And so you say thank you to this angel, and it says, sure, anytime, and flits off, picks up a flower and throws it in the fountain and starts batting it around. It is just pure joy. And so now you know how to recognize your guardian angel. You know how to recognize your guiding angel. And you know who and what your gleeful angel is. And so you start to walk down the path towards the gate of this garden, past the statues and past the trees. And you say, thank you so much. And you take a breath. And you sink into the music. And allow yourself to float slowly, slowly back. Taking a few more steps to look around and to appreciate